Dear learners, today in this session we are discussing on achieving sustainable development goals as topic. As we know, the definition of sustainable development was given by World Commission on Environment Development in their report Our Common Future in 1987. It's called sustainable development is development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs, unquote. On 25 September 2015, the United Nations General Assembly adopted a resolution, and the document of resolution titled Transforming Our World, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, is we commonly call Sustainable Development Goal SDGs 2030. Preamble on that document, this agenda is a plan of action for people, planet and prosperity. It also seeks to strengthen universal peace and large freedom. It has 17 sustainable development goals and 169 targets. These goals and the target are for people, planet, for achieving prosperity, for maintaining peace, and it will be achieved through partnership. If we look into the 17 goals, means the SDGs are interconnected and interdependent, as many of them contribute to several dimensions of sustainable development. These goals can be looked into 4 important dimensions. First, prosperity, social inclusion, environment and sustainability, good governance. In prosperity, prosperity means the basic needs are met for all. Under this dimension, we can put SDG goal number 1, end of poverty, SDG goal number 2, end of hunger, health for all, SDG 3, SDG 4, education for all, SDG 6, water and sanitation for all, SDG 7, modern energy for all, decent job for all, SDG 8, and SDG 9, modern infrastructure for all. If we are able to bring or to achieve sustainable development, all these SDGs, at least we will be able to get a prosperous life. Another dimension, social inclusion. Social inclusion means all members of society have an opportunity to flourish, and it includes SDG goal number 5, gender equality, SDG goal number 10, reducing inequality, and SDG goal number 16, freedom from violence. Environmental sustainability also one of the dimension means environmental sustainability means the climate system is stable, biodiversity is conserved, ecosystem function is well, fresh water is secure, rural and urban settlements are protected from pollution and are resilient to climate shocks. Under this dimension, goals include SDG includes SDG 6, that's on freshwater supply, SDG 11, sustainable cities, SDG 12, SDG 13, SDG 14, SDG 15. Let's talk about 15 talk about conserving terrestrial ecosystem. And you will see many more other SDGs also interrelated in bringing environmental sustainability, like SDG 2 that stipulates the end of hunger, and end of hunger means it is entirely depend on sustainable agriculture. Sustainable agriculture means environment and sustainability is required. The 4th dimension we can look, that is good governance. Good governance puts the interaction of state and non-state actors at the center of policy making, while good governance implies that governments are following the rule of law and are accountable to their citizens and administer justice in a fair manner. Non-state organizations are proactively involved and as a part of the governance system. Consequently, they cooperate with other countries. So, good governance is at the core of SDG Goal 16, peace, justice and strong institution. SDG 17, that talks about achieving global cooperation and partnership for the SDGs. So, this SDG 17 it explicitly addresses into other SDGs also, such as 10 on social and political equality or 5 on gender equality. When you want to bring good governance and to have a good partnership, global partnership, we need to address these SDGs also. If you look into SDG 16, peace, justice and strong institution, it is not only in a goal itself, but also an enabler for other SDGs to achieve, because good and inclusive governance is seen as a precondition and should be a precondition for combining and aligning visions for local, national and global common welfare. So, to achieve or for achieving all these dimensions, means all these goals we discuss in those under different dimensions, we need to transform ourselves. So, we need for transforming, then we can categorize 6 major domains that urgently need a change. They are human capacity and demography, consumption and production, decarbonization and energy, food, biosphere and water, smart cities, digital revolution. When we talk about human capacity and demography, as you know, human capacity promotes the well-being of individual from birth to old age. Sustainable development policies should support, enable and empower each individual throughout their entire life, from infancy, then early childhood, then early childhood development to primary and secondary schooling, then transition from the school to the work, and prospering working years and leisure time, and the high quality years in old age retirement. So, we need to look into stages of life. So, achieving such result, if we are able to achieve such result, we are able to achieve such result that, or achieving such result will require high quality public infrastructure and service and budgetary support for public investment, for public services, and transfers to, and that needs to transfer all this infrastructure also needs to be reached with a high priority to vulnerable households. So, the transformation of human capacities demography that will entail the support for the transition to the urbanized, because urbanization is also one of the factors. You see, now we are making a lot of urban areas. Urbanization is happening across the globe. Then high skill, high employment and the aging population with low lower fertility rates leading to stable or declining population. Major public investment in human capacity that include, that's where we can look those SDGs goals like health coverage, that is SDG 3, quality education SDG 4, and the basic infrastructure. Means when you talk about basic infrastructure, you will see those goals of SDG 6, water and sanitation is also important. Then modern energy services, then that's SDG 7, transport and connectivity SDG 9. So, how to achieve these SDGs? What we need to transform under this important domain of human capacity and demography? We need to create more job, means creation of job opportunity. When we talk about enhancing the quality of life of vulnerable group of the society, you will see farmers are among those vulnerable groups of the society. So we need to support local farmers. And then the government needs to introduce universal health plan, and at last, one of the important is promotion of education is important. For education, we need to higher budgetary allocation. Then only we will be able to transform, then we will be able to achieve in developing human capacity and maintaining human demography. The second dimension, the next domain which needs our transformation for achieving different SDGs are consumption and production. SDG itself also have SDG 12 that is responsible consumption and production is one of the important goals of sustainable development. As we have seen that today's consumption and production patterns is one of the region that lead to excessive use of natural resources through highly inefficient resource use such as water, raw materials, wild cuts from oceans, or affecting the land use, and generate unsustainable level of pollution, including we are throwing number of chemicals, plastics, nutrients, untreated sewage, and municipal waste. These unsustainable consumption and production patterns are one of the reasons why countries around the world need to transform their energy system, food system, and their cities, especially their cities. The inefficient resource use and poor waste management by industry and household are also another challenge to promote. So what we have to do? So to promote sustainable consumption and production patterns, we need to transform our consumption and production patterns towards a circular economy. Another key element of transformation to sustainable consumption is the notion that well-being does not necessarily rely on the consumption of resources per se, but is rather derived from the services and amenities these resources help in providing. For example, in particular, the digital revolution offers large potential to make accessible to these services in a much more resource efficient manner. You can see this, especially the role of digital revolution, especially in this global pandemic of COVID-19. Several aspects of sustainable production practice in energy means efficiency in energy use, conversion from fossil fuels to renewable energy, including renewable power to gas conversion, fuel switching. Food and the biosphere means shifting of the dietary away from a high beef diet, more efficient fertilizer use, reduce food loss in the world, and cities. In cities, recycling of urban waste, sewerage, and wastewater treatment, urban planning for high density agglomeration. These are some of the aspects of sustainable production practice for achieving these SDGs under this domain. Other priorities, we can see for the transformation for consumption production patterns or improvement in material efficiency and lower emissions. For example, by reduction of iron ore with hydrogen, use and reuse of materials such as carbon, recycling, and urban mining to close a circle on the use of rare minerals. So the shift towards a circular economy requires life cycle approaches to products across a broad range of industrial value chains as well as human agglomeration, especially in large cities. What do we have to do to transform, to make a what we have to do, what is our responsibility, how can we transform our consumption and production? So we can, in a nutshell, what we can say that for transforming consumption and production, for achieving particular SDG that talks about responsible consumption and production, we need to promote digital revolution. Then we have to use energy efficiently, following 3Rs principle, that is reduce, reuse and recycle, switch to renewable energy. The next domain where we can look the different SDGs are decarbonization and energy is one of the important domains. As you know, the world requires universal access to modern energy services together with a decisive drop in carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases. Over 1 billion of people do not access to electricity, some 3 billion to clean cooking. This leads to about 4 million premature deaths, especially women and children who spend most time indoors. So universal access of energy is essential for development and environmental sustainability. So positive effects on reduction of greenhouse emission are likely due to better combustion shift towards renewable energy, but far from sufficient at current rate of the progress. If you look currently, the progress we are making in switching towards renewable energy, okay, it is improving at least. It has some positive effect, but will take time. So we need to improve in this way. So under this domain, SDG 7 and SDG 13. SDG 7 of affordable and clean energy, SDG 13 is climate actions. So to achieve this goal, what we have to do? That is what we have discussed. So we can look under the decarbonization and energy domain, we can see two important SDGs. They are SDG 7 and SDG 13. The next domain needs transformation. That needs transformation are for food, biosphere and water. Under this, we can see three major important goals. SDG 6, clean water and sanitation. SDG 14, life with water. SDG 15, life on land. So we need to have a great transformation, particularly in food system and land use, while enhancing resilience of other parts of the biosphere, including water and ocean. The current patterns of land use, mainly related to the production of food, biofuels and fibers, are unsustainable in three ways. First, if we look in today's agriculture system, including livestock and aquaculture, they are major contributors to human-induced climate change. Unsustainable water use, poor health through inadequate nutrition, eutrophication through nutrient overload, air and water pollution, deforestation, and the loss of biodiversity. At the same time, these agricultural systems and other forms of land use are vulnerable to the environmental change through the increase of severity of droughts, floods, disease, and land degradation is also happening in part because of the climate change or by climate change. Similarly, most ocean and freshwater fisheries are overexploited and oceans are exposed to high level of pollution, including acidification from carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Third, today's food system do not deliver healthy diets, with some 800 million people are undernourished and nearly 2 billion overweight. Taken together, transformation of land use and ocean management must reduce the human-induced damages caused by agriculture and the food system, while also making agriculture more resilient to environmental changes and ensuring healthy diets. So the world needs a major transformation of agricultural systems and the fisheries, both to mitigate. The world needs a major transformation of agricultural system and the fisheries. A major transformation of agricultural system and the fisheries both to mitigate human-caused environmental degradation and to build resilience to agricultural production. One guiding principle will be the effective regulation of land use. Such practices include precision farming to economic on fertilizer and water use and to maximize the yield. No-till farming to protect soil quality, agroecology to optimize the crop mix to sustain biodiversity and resist the dangers of pests and pathogens, and improve harvesting and storage practices to reduce post-harvest losses. Another priority for action that relates to diet and the loss and the waste of food is that the countries need to encourage healthier diets through public awareness campaigns, removal of subsidies for unhealthy and environmentally harmful production techniques, and careful management of land use, oceans, and other environmental resources. In countries where high beef consumption per person is high, or we can say in countries with high beef consumption per person, reduction in beef consumption can promote human health while also protecting the environment. Beef has an especially adverse ecological burden because each kilogram of edible beef requires 10 to 15 kg of feed for the cattle. Similarly, some 30% of food is lost or wasted and does not reach to the plate. Reducing food loss and food waste is one of the promising ways to reduce the environmental pressure from and the vulnerability of current food system. Only about a half of the food yield ends being eaten. That means half the food goes in as a waste. We need to promote precision farming. We need to have effective land use policy. Moreover, from the policymaker point of view, removal of subsidies for unhealthy and environmentally harmful production techniques should be implemented. The another domain is smart cities. So, under this domain of transformation, you can see SDG 11, SDG 7, and SDG 9. Today, cities are home to around 55% of humanity. It will be increasing. And 70% of global economic output by 2050 means beyond SDGs 2030. Urban population are projected to account for around 70% of humanity, perhaps 85% of global output. Then what happens in cities? Therefore, cities will determine the well-being of most of the humanities and the prospect for sustainable development. For this reason, the world's national government adopted SDG 11 on sustainable cities to promote cities that are for people, are economically productive, socially inclusive, and environmentally sustainable. We have seen many cities lack the basic urban infrastructure that needed for economic productivity, social inclusion, and environmental sustainability. So, urban infrastructure should include an efficient transport system, universal access to reliable and low-cost electricity, safe water and sewerage, recycling and other sustainable waste management, high-speed and low-cost broadband connectivity to support business and public service delivery. This is also very important. It is already evident in the pandemic, global pandemic of COVID-19, where people around the world are entirely dependent on the online system, internet connectivity. This should be deployed according to the urban development plan that take account for future population growth. The backbone of every well-planned functioning city is reliable, low-carbon infrastructure, including low-carbon electricity, electric power public transportation, electric light-duty vehicle, electric heating and cooking, efficient road network, broadband connectivity, and water, sanitation, and sewerage accessible to every inhabitant of the city. Equally high-quality public service, including healthcare, education, and utilities like power, water connectivity. Security that are universally accessible and affordable are very necessary. Are very necessity. So we need to, to develop a smart cities or to achieve different SDGs like SDG 11, sustainable cities and communities, SDG 7, affordable and clean energy, SDG 9, industry innovation infrastructure. As a citizen, we must try to use public transport system, means switching to public transport, than like carpooling. And we should be a part for a clean, safe and secure locality. I mentioned that one of the important of this 21st century, in this century, is promotion of digital revolution. So another domain is I indicated in smart city, that digital revolution. That this can be, this domain, transformative domain, this you can see that one of the SDGs 9, SDGs, that is SDGs 9, talk about industry innovation infrastructure. That we can look this under the transforming, under the domain of digital revolution to transform ourselves. The greatest single enabler of sustainable development perhaps in the coming years would be the digital revolution that is happening, constituted by ongoing advance in artificial intelligence, connectivity, digitization of information, additive manufacturing like 3D printing, virtual reality, Internet of the Things, machine learning, blockchain, robotics, quantum computing, and synthetic biology. That is happening nowadays. So the digital transformation calls for a comprehensive set of regulatory standards and normative framework, physical infrastructure, and digital system to capture the benefit of the digital revolution while avoiding the many possible potential downsides. An essential priority should be to develop science, technology, and innovation roadmaps to better understand the potential benefits and danger of digitalization. So under this domain, we can look SDG 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Universal access to high quality, low cost mobile broadband, online governance to support public service and participation is important. Online finance and payments to facilitate trade and business services should be encouraged. We need to have a regulatory security for online identity and privacy, or we need to maintain the security for online identity and privacy. Online national system or platform especially for healthcare and education. For education, now the entire world is progressing towards online education system. During the world health emergency of COVID-19. The question comes in our mind is, we have different goals, that is 17 goals, a number of targets, as we call SDGs 2030. Is it achievable? And all these goals are interconnected. And that's why we are trying to understand the way of transformation we needed in 6 domains: human capacity and demography, consumption and production, decarbonization and energy, biosphere and water, smart cities, and digital revolution. Whether it is achievable? Yes, the answer is yes. But the key is to raise national saving rates, that is more important, at least by a few percentage points of national income, and invest the incremental saving on priorities such as zero carbon energy, high quality schools, improved health system, environmental conservation and restoration, good governance institution, global cooperation and initiatives to leverage dynamics towards the implementation of these SDGs. This incremental saving should be deployed to bring about these six key transformations what we have discussed, that will raise living standards, that will give or promote the jobs, that will ensure social inclusion and protect the natural environment. And in short, what we can say that for or to achieve the future we want. So here, I would like to share what is IGNOU's roles in India. If you look into this SDGs, this SDGs is one of the important component to make SDGs or to it happen, to make it achievable, we need to, or to make it to action, we need mass education. And in fact, one of the goals is on quality education. Indira Gandhi National Open University, we are playing an important role in increasing gross enrollment ratio in the country, not only in the country, who have reaching to other part of the world also. That we call reaching the unreached as a goal in every length and breadth of the country, even outside the country. We have, the university IGNOU have a number of education programs in highly specialized areas, which you can look under different goals. Like we have this sustainability science course, which is one of the doctrines that looks sustainable development in a holistic way. We have number of courses on especially in social science also. We have the courses on gender equality, courses on environment, on economics. So through this way, university play an important role in enhancing the knowledge across different stakeholders, from a fresh graduate or from 10 plus to, or fresh graduate from 10 plus to policy makers, planners, and different stakeholders who are working also, who are fresh graduate also. And you will see, we are giving lifelong learning. Through this lifelong learning, reaching the awareness on different social issues, environmental issues, economic issues, national issues, so that through education, through this distance education, IGNOU plays an important role in developing this nation. So today we have discussed on, what we have discussed is we have looked discussed the different SDGs on four important dimensions, that is prosperity, social inclusion, environmental sustainability, and good governance. And to achieve all these dimensions, all dimensions or different goals under this dimension, we have looked the way of transformation into six different domains, important domains, that are human capacity and demography, consumption and production, decarbonization and energy, food, biosphere and water, smart cities, digital revolution, and at last we have reflected on the role of IGNOUs in achieving a healthy nation to achieve sustainable development goals. Thank you. Let us meet in the next session. Thanks all.